Now, the topic that I'm discussing today actually has been discussed in lot of forums for the last 6 months. So when I got this topic, I thought, what would I discuss again? But then what we heard in the last 10 days is there is again an exciting data in continuation of what was presented in ESCO, was presented in this ESMO 2020. Secondly, we had a full text presentation in NEGM in this September edition. So I got lot of things which I could clear some of the confusion. And I requested that people to give me the topic as Adora Revisited. So I'll be trying to clear some of the doubts and I'll be happy to take the questions afterwards. Now, what we know from the metastatic setting is first line EGFR TKIs are better than chemo as per as the results of IPAS study, your tech study. Second thing we know is in a second line setting, in a T790M mutation, osimertinib is better than chemotherapy.
Bharat, your slides are not moving. If you try to move them.
Yeah. So the third thing that, sir, I did not start, I was just trying. And the third thing is what we had in a FLORA study, the third generation EGFR TKIs is better than first generation. So by taking a more effective drug in an early stage lung cancer, can we cure more number of patients? That was the main thing why this study was done. Now, all of us know that around 1/4 of the patients of non-small cell lung cancer are resectable. When we define resectability is stage 1, 2, and 3A. 3A including N1 or rarely single station N2 and rarely discrete N2, but that is a controversial topic. What we also know is surgery is the primary treatment in the early stage non-small cell lung cancer. When we give chemotherapy, as per as the meta-analysis, there is a reduced risk of death by 11% and there is a reduced risk of progression by 16%. But to top it all, even with the best and best of treatment, the recurrence is still half of even stage 1B has a recurrence. But if you say stage 3, 3/4 of the patient will recur in spite of the best treatment. So you need more than a chemo to cure or to increase the cure rates of these patients. Now, if you look into all the guidelines that has been done, there is no guideline which suggests that you should start doing molecular testing in early stage lung cancer, except for some guidelines from China where there is a lot of research done. But so far as now, still curable, what we say, resectable, no molecular testing, chemo plus minus. Now, if before going into the landmark trial, there are 5 trials which have discussed this concept. If you look into the center, Radiant and BR19, these were trials we should not discuss because the population selected were unselected or amplified EGFR. So the discussion may not hold true. 2 remaining trials, Select trial and Evans trial, were a phase 2 trial. They never looked at DFS. The main purpose was to see the overall response rate and maybe a DFS. And the only worthwhile trial that has looked into it is a adjuvant CTOM study. All of you know that there was an enthusiasm with the study with the improvement in DFS, but unfortunately in this ESCO 2020, the OS was not significant. Hence that enthusiasm basically was partly diminished. Now, if you look into the data that has been presented before this study, 2 studies, adjuvant and EVAN, if you see, adjuvant no OS advantage, EVANS there is definitely a very significant improvement in DFS with the hazard ratio of 0.26. But so far as now, because there is only a DFS but no OS advantage, all the guidelines, all these studies have not translated into anything in clinical practice. So let me come to the blockbuster trial, that is AD-AURA, so adjuvant AURA. Osimertinib as adjuvant therapy in patient with stage 1B to 3A EGFR mutation positive NSCLC after complete tumor resection. So a phase 3 double-blind study in which patient with 1B to stage 3 completely resectable patient with or without adjuvant chemo. Only trial which has included till now both the patient was stratified to receive osimertinib in the ratio of 1:1 to placebo. The most important thing was adjuvant treatment of osimertinib was given for 3 years. Unlike previous study of CTOM where it was given for 2 years, and I tell you, this is most important here. The primary endpoint was DFS in a high risk stage 2 to 3A. And if you look into it, their expectation was a DFS of 0.70 and what we got was far better. The other endpoints were OS and quality of life. So if you look into the baseline characteristic, two things important. Stage 1, 2, and 3 were equally distributed. Around 45% of the patient did not take chemo, and that was given in test. These 45% of the patient were stage 1B mostly, and some patient in stage 2, which otherwise also we may not give chemo also. So whether you should give chemo in high risk, the answer is yes, still now you should give it, but post chemo you should give this drug. Now, when you come to the primary endpoint, which was the most important thing, disease-free survival in high risk stage 2 to 3A. Now, if you look into the absolute number at 2 years, it is twice the absolute number. You never think of absolute improvement from 44 to 90% with a highly significant hazard ratio of 0.17. So, 83% reduction in the risk of recurrence at 3 years, if you say. So, that is something which was never heard of. If you look into the overall population, including stage 1B, this ratio continues to be 0.21. In my 12 years, I have never seen a lung study which shows such a good hazard ratio of 0.21, even in a low risk included patient. Now, when you look into the subset analysis, what you see is stage 2, 3 outscores over it. But if you see stage 3, this hazard ratio, so there is an improvement by 88% in terms of reduction in recurrence. You give chemo, you don't give chemo. So probably the advantage remains the same. Again, questioning whether you really require chemo in early stage CA lung, or you may directly put on this drug once if it gets validated and approved. Just see the results of placebo. As expected, stage 1B, 73% had relapsed by 2 years, and in stage 3A, nearly 32% were only person who were disease-free. But if you look into the upper part of the curve, stage 1B, stage 3, the DFS remains the same, 88%. Further emphasizing the way that if it is more high risk, this drug works better or as good as what it works in other subset of patients. Early survival data, probably at 2 years, you cannot comment because the events were very low, only 3% in osimertinib and placebo, only 7%. Now, this was something which has again reinforced my belief that it may turn out to be a positive study. Now, if you look into the recurrence, there was 11% recurrence in osimertinib arm versus 46% recurrence in placebo arm. When you subdivide it, majority of the recurrence in osimertinib were local, see a blue, and majority of the recurrence in placebo were systemic. And you know systemic is much worse than local. You have local salvage therapy for controlling these symptoms. So the recurrence pattern were different, again telling us that probably it reduces distant recurrence better. Now, the most important thing, if you look into the recurrence, the commonest extra, lung recurrence in previous studies also was in central nervous system. So here you find only 4 patients, that is 1% patient in osimertinib arm had relapsed in the brain versus 33 patients, which is 10% in the placebo arm. If you remember your CTONG study, 37% of recurrence were in CNS. So again, telling that this drug will work better in CNS, and that drug did not work, and probably that was the main reason that drug failed. Now coming to number of events, what I told you, 4 were, that is 1% versus 33 patients versus 10%, which is quite a high number. Now, if you look into it, the decrease in recurrence in CNS, again, this hazard ratio is 0.18. So 82% reduction in risk of CNS recurrence when you give osimertinib in an adjuvant trial. Again, this difference is going on increasing. In absolute 16% improvement in terms of CNS at 3 years. Every good thing may have a bad thing. So again, you have to remember 2 things only. What was grade 3? 20%, so 1/5. But more importantly, even after giving 3 years of this drug, only 11% had the drug discontinued. Again, telling us that with the longer duration of time also, this drug has worked well, and majority of the patients are able to tolerate this drug well in the clinical setting. When you look into the grade 3 side effects, diarrhea, we know, some nail changes, and some upper respiratory tract infection, including nasopharyngitis, upper respiratory tract, some appetite loss. 2 things which I have seen lot of people discuss about is an interstitial lung disease. Only grade 1, 2, that too only in 3%. QTc prolongation less significant in 7%, but this did not lead anything to disease or a drug modification. So a very safe drug in practice with a long duration of it. I'll go back to my first slide, which has told, and I'll put this again. So again, if you see, this has definitely outscored other drug in terms of hazard ratio. And I'll be telling in the next slide why I think this it was important. 2 studies only in a phase 3 setting, which has done a adjuvant thing. One was a adjuvant CTOM study, which we had seen, and this is ADAURA study, which we are seeing now. A very big study, 682 versus 222 patients. If you see, the main difference is 3 years of osimertinib. If anybody remembers CTOM study, those patients who could take 18 months or more than 18 months of geftinib had an improvement in OS. And here we are giving a drug for 3 years. So a durable response is expected. Now, if you look into 3 years landmark, the DFS is twice what was there in gefitinib adjuvant study. So the first landmark, it has already outscored by twice. Definitely we need to wait for OS, but I am more enthusiastic for this disease. Disease activation equal, serious adverse event negligible. So my take on ADAURA study, probably this is what you should also ponder about it is, osimertinib in ADAURA will outperform data of the first generation TKI from earlier trial because of the 3 major things. We all know that its potency for mutant EGFR is far better than the EGFR TKI, and probably it will kill more residual tumor cell if any present. ADAURA is using a longer treatment duration of 3 years, in contrast to the previous phase 3 study. And we have a data to suggest that longer duration of gefitinib in that study had led to the overall survival advantage. And the most important belief, which has been proven now, is that it has a significant better activity in CNS. So we will have fewer CNS relapses in this. And we have already seen that the biggest failure in GTOM study was in CNS. So this also is a positive point. So if I have to summarize, adjuvant treatment till now continues to remain chemo with or without radiation. Previous clinical trials prior to this landmark study in the adjuvant setting showed mixed results, but promising, of course. But again, which it showed a DFS improvement, but no OS improvement, and it continues to remain same. But if you look into the ADAURA trial of adjuvant osimertinib versus placebo, it was unblinded 2 years before it was supposed to be unblinded in February 2022, but it was unblinded in 2020, only to us, not to the patient. So they are still not knowing in which they are. And probably in the next 1 or 2 years, because you have 2, 3, 4, 5 year DFS, it will answer many of the key questions. And I believe this trial will be positive. So rather than you asking me, I am asking some questions. Based on this study, probably you should start doing this mutation test in early, maybe not in 1B, but maybe in 3A, because that is somewhere where you need it, because they will probably fail. Do you think osimertinib may make patients opt for it with or without chemo? How long to give is still a golden question, and the trial has still not answered what is a post-treatment, what drugs they have taken. So probably some questions answered very well, but still some question to be answered, but a trial in a positive direction. I thank you all for a patient hearing.